I'm going to go the yin of Yakir. Yakir is a right of not of a parent, of a father, to identify his son. What do I mean by that? In other words, this is my oldest son, this is my second son, this is not my son, this is my son. In other words, by him saying he's not my son, he's a mamza. Whatever it is, or he doesn't belong to my family, or whatever it is, I picked him up, I adopted him or something, but he's not my son. He's Neman. A mother on this is not Neman. They tell over a story from the Rosh Yeshiva Zatzal that there was a mother who unfortunately didn't like her daughter. Or it was the grandmother, I don't remember the case. But I think it was the mother, because it was at least that a shaila of it. And she came crying, screaming, or at the chasana, that my daughter's really mamzeres. And therefore, you can't get married. You can't get married. Now that's it sounds like a crazy story, and I don't know the whole story, what it was or not. But the Rosh Yeshiva said, you can marry her. And she's kosher. What about the mother? The mother doesn't have a din of Yakir, only the father has a din of Yakir. And therefore, since he doesn't have a din of Yakir, so her saying that she's a mamzeres, even though what reason would she have for doing it, we have no reason, we have no idea. Of a lamaisa, she's not neman, period. So it doesn't make a difference. If a father would have said, my daughter's a mamzeres, it'd be a different story. And that's the point that, that the thing exactly why and so on, that I can't answer you at the moment, but it's a point of just to clarify the Indian, that you should know that that the mother is different than the father. That it's not point the parent is entitled to Yakir. And obviously we have to come onto some type of belief, because the doctor in the hospital, the nurse in the hospital, when years ago when the mother gave birth when she was out, she didn't give birth when she was awake. She gave birth when she was out, and they put the baby, and then they brought her baby. How do you know it's my baby? So you have to trust the nurse that it's my baby. That's the chaya you have to trust, and that she has an emunis, that to say that this is that baby, this is her baby, and so on. So there are laws of emunis that even though which take on of the tremendous yichus things, because we don't know this anymore. In the hospital, they have 20 little kids there. How do you know which kid is in which bundle? He said, I saw him when he came out. Okay, if you saw that, maybe you could say this, but I doubt if that's the case. And probably everyone's so excited they don't even remember what the kid looked like. So what difference does it make? So, so obviously it's a din that of certain people are nemon, because that's their job to know, and so on, and other people are not, whatever it is. Now the din of Ben Seder, which is a very big one, and it's negeya very much now, l'maise, because of attitudes of people. Now that marijuana is legal in New York and in Jersey, you have former people that actually partake. And with the heter is, it's even better than smoking. It's less. It's not addictive. It's not what he called. So therefore, it's wonderful thing there, and a justification for that. The truth is, I have no idea on the statistics how many people end up being actual dope addicts or not. I don't know. But obviously, for the general public, they probably tell you that most people that start off marijuana will end off with taking cocaine and maybe even heroin in time. But cocaine, they more or less is a pretty accepted thing already. Cocaine. If you're a rich man, you smoke cocaine. So you sniff cocaine or whatever you do with cocaine. So the thing is what's wrong with it? Okay, it's another type of enjoyment. I get my kicks this way, you get your kicks that way, so what difference does it make? Right? You're 100% right. And maybe for the millionaire, you really don't have that much of what do you call it? But we'll discuss it. What did they ask about Ben Sora Meir? What did this Ben Sora Meir, this rotten kid that we're going to kill, which according to the Gemara, there's at least one the Yoma that says it can't happen. So why are we learning it? Because and we said this is one of 3 mitzvahs that you have at least one man the Yoma that says it can't happen. Never happened, then it can't happen. Metzias can't happen. And Dresh Mekabel Schar means we got to learn something from it. What are we going to learn? What's the big lesson we're going to learn? What is it that this terrible kid did? He stole from his parent. Okay, that's not nice. It's a terrible thing. And I think there's a lot of kids probably who steal from their parents. Whatever it is, they steal from their parents. And they went out and they bought a certain Titamal Shalboso and the Chotzi Lugyayin, and what do you call it? Which is a standard of living that generally is pretty expensive. In other words, most people will not reach that level of eating that kind of a meal every day, or weekdays, or whatever it is. It's like, a good rib steak, $50, that's once a month, once in 2 months, whatever it is. Once in 5 months, 6 months, a year. Whatever it is, it's not a daily product. Okay, why? And it's a mutatik item, it's food. There's nothing wrong with it, right? But it's a standard that you can't normally afford. And since you can't afford it, we're telling the person, don't get used to it. Because if you get used to it and it becomes your standard, then it's very hard to move away from it. And you may even end up being a murderer in the end. Not necessarily murder because you went out to murder people. But what happens is you went to rob someone. And the guy caught you in the act. And because of that, he's defending himself. And when he defends himself, you'll overpower him and you'll kill him. Therefore, you'll kill him. That's the point. We don't want you to get to such a case. It doesn't happen. Now, dope would fit in the same category. In other words, that's an addictive product. Smoking is an addictive product. And the question is, how much addicted is it? Can I really keep the bounds? I hold this much as also not. I've already heard of cases of kids, unfortunately, who do the electric, what do they call it? They vape. They vape, they put stuff in there that's addictive, and they are Mechal Shabbos. When Mechal Shabbos, you can tell, they carry on Shabbos because they have to carry the thing. It's a whole apparatus. It's electric. It's what he called, and they smoke it on Shabbos. Why? Because they're addicted to it. And they think this. Now, some people, even if you're addicted to it, but I know I'm Chil Shabbos, so Chil Shabbos, I'm not going to be Ava. I'm addicted to food, and I need food, and Yom Kippur, I'm not going to eat. But the fact is, how much do you really feel that strength, that Isser, that you're not allowed to do this? And if you're a young kid, you give in, unfortunately. So that's one of these are dangerous things. But about someone said something? About killing someone, that obviously it depends. You'll say, oh, but I wouldn't kill, for a cigarette and stuff like that. Put your life in danger, you definitely would. Because we see in the Second World War, the Germans the German guards would barter many favors with the inmates for a cigarette, because the inmates were able to get Red Cross cigarettes, which the guards didn't get. And they would be able to barter. If they ever get caught by the commandant, they'd be shot. Levos, it was worth it to let the guy get away with whatever he's getting away with, and then I got a cigarette meanwhile. So the people who put themselves in Sakon, how much would they do to get the cigarette? I don't know if they'll kill anybody to get a cigarette. Maybe you're not that addictive. It's like coffee, maybe. But it's still addictive. It still has a keach on me. I gotta have it. It's not going to happen like a drunk. You become an alcoholic. It actually affects my whole attitude of people. Things of that is a greater addiction. Dope is even a greater one. And dope I will actually kill people for, because I must have the shot. I must have that whatever they call it, the hit, whatever they call it. I must have it. And I can't have it. I'll go out and rob somebody, and say I'm a rich guy. What are you worried about? They say rich people are allowed to do it. They're allowed to eat meat, tatim abasa. Yeah, but dope maybe not, because the desire of dope may be so great that if I don't have it, I will. Let's say you'll say, well, what's my problem? I have an ATM on the corner. I'll get cash and I'll go over to my guy and I'll get my money. I'll get anything. So I always have money. I have no problem. Now, what time the ATM broke? And now all of a sudden, I don't have my cash machine anymore. And all of a sudden, if I is passing, I'm going to hold them up because I need that shot right now. Not in an hour from now, not in 2 hours. No, I need it now. And therefore, he can't control himself. That's a thing that you ultimately can't control yourself from. Now, it's habitual because that's your derech hachayim, or it's habitual because your body actually needs it. These are both from Arasa. That we see from here, it's only that it's habitual, not because my body needs it. Food, my body doesn't need any specific food, just needs food. But my appetite needs it, my desire needs it, and that's the feeling, what is marijuana, feeling the kick. And besides the kick goes to a higher kick after a while, but Lamaisi, even just desiring that kick, I now put myself into the hands of an item, and that I'm not allowed to do. And that's what it's telling you. So you can enjoy life, you can do everything you think there, but don't make something beyond yourself that will be something that you won't be able to control. That's an Issa. And this guy that it says over here, because this is, like most guys will say, like, what's wrong with it? And that's why it's V'chol Yisrael Yishmu V'yiro. There's 5 times it's going to say in the Torah here the word that does these things. This is the first one, and it's all in the Seder. The union of Leisulbash, maybe we'll cover them all at one time. That's what I'm saying. Leisulbash, the Yisr is, don't tease the Yetzer Hara. Sometimes a guy, if he dresses up as a girl, will actually look like a girl. Or vice versa. A boy will dress up like a girl, and a girl as a boy, and look like a boy. Right? Obviously, there's certain parts that have to be hidden, whatever it is there, but the hips and these things, maybe they're almost the same, and you wear the right clothes, you wear the thing there, and you get admission into areas where I'm teasing my Yetzer Hara now. This is a natural Yetzer Hara, and therefore if I'm now coming into places where the people are dressed and undressed, and therefore it's a thing. So the first one is, you're not allowed to tease Yetzer Hara. That's, if you're teasing Yetzer Hara, that itself is a teyeva in itself. The next one is, let's see, Kadeshim, no, yeah. I can't use a sheep that was either exchanged for a dog, which is a dangerous animal in those times, and even now, depending how they're trained and so on. And it's also, so I can't, and the other one is for Esnan Zainav, where you're paying the price of a call girl. They use that as the price, as the ticket. I cannot make a korban out of this behemoth again, of this animal again. Why? Because right now it was used for not nice things. So what? But I want to be mekadesh it. That's the problem. That's what the toev is. Again, the normal attitude of people is money, right? What difference does it make? The cow, the dog, the little shepsel, they didn't know what it was being used for. Whatever it is, what's its fault? Stuff like that. What's wrong with the shepsel? The idea is it justifies in the person's mind that if I use it for good things, then somehow it's okay. That part you're not allowed to do it. Now, I did a bad thing. I stole, but I gave my charity. I forgot the name of the cardinal at the time.
Robin Hood?
No. There was a cardinal in Boston. I think it was after Pius died, and we took Johnny. He got some votes to be the Pope. Why? He was a tremendous fundraiser for the church, and the insiders knew to vote for. I forgot his name, and the reason why he was is because he was friendly with the mafia of Boston, and they would give him a cut. Now, this was a sheet in the church. It's called Indulgences, right? Thank you. It was called Indulgences, which was used by I think Gregory and at that time to get one of these wars together. And the idea is that if you give a certain amount to the church, it could be Meichel Yavenis. Now we know tzedakah is Meichel Yavenis, so that's true. It's tzedakah is tatzim and mavis, because it's a mitzvah and it's an important mitzvah, but not that I'm buying myself out. It's not because I didn't avay with this money, now I can buy myself out. I'll give God his cut and he'll forgive me for it. That doesn't work that way, that's the point. But he was able to do that, to raise that kind of money. He even got a few votes that time. Yeah. We talked about ribbis last, I think, once before, about the union. What is the isser of ribbis? In other words, I give you a very good reason for doing ribbis, and I'm not getting involved in the halacha of it now. A good businessman will not put in his own money into his business. Why? Because his money, he's using up money that has X amount of value to build a business that's going to have inflation in it. I'm going to go to a bank and I'm going to borrow money on it and pay back with inflationary dollars. Right? In other words, the money I gave you, I'll give you a marshal, the difference in value in our time. Again, our time means my age. Okay? We once passed 2 years ago. I remember going, at that time, gas was $2.83 a gallon. It was in New York, and he was stopping to get gas. My driver, and I asked him, do me a favor, I knew he had these phones. I said, check what $2.83 was worth in 1970. Not talking about 1950, talking about 1970. A quarter. What are you complaining about? A quarter in 1970, you weren't making the money you're making now, and you were paying a quarter for it, right? That means you were paying $2.83 for gas in 1970. But I said, so, but it didn't sound like it was a quarter. That was a big difference, right? So we have that difference of how many times a quarter, 283, is almost 12 times as much. And it's 11 times as much at least, right? Almost 12 times as much. It don't make sense that it's so many things I guess, what is it, 50 years, 60 years, whatever it is. That's how much it came. So if I took out a loan for 30 years on my home, right? So I'm paying, let's say, 5% interest. The money with inflation and everything else, by the time it comes around, is 50% less. And therefore, when I'm paying the 50% on the inflation rate, still of the 5% or whatever, 10% rate, whatever I'm paying the interest is, I'm saving money in the end, right? Not actual dollar bills, because it's still called a dollar bill, but in the value of the bills, right? So therefore, maybe I should be able to borrow money on Ribbis then, because I'm not really losing any money that way. That's what I'm saying. I'm not getting involved in that one. That's a new angle, I think, to Ribbis, and I'm not getting involved in that. But what is really the problem of Ribbis? The Gemara says in Eshech that Ribbis, Anoye, and Gezel, we really can learn one from the other. Why? They're all completely different things. One is Mekach HaMemke, and the Gemara says it. It says, but it's Arashave with this and that. What is the problem that you've been doing here? The problem simply is, when I take something from you about Kocha, that's Gezel, right? What happened if I'm taking something from you, not about Kocha in the sense of holding a gun to you, but you're in a situation, I'm taking advantage of your situation. Now you say, well, we always take advantage of somebody's situation. You know, you see a store advertising below cost, you're not going to go into the store and buy what's in there. Of course you can go into the store. Below cost, if you're going to go in, it's a big bargain, right? So why is the guy's losing money because of it? First of all, he's not losing money. He made enough money on the other things. And the reason he's selling below cost is he wants to get the new product in. So so he's not losing anything. But assuming that he is actually losing money. In other words, he has to make a payment of something. Because of that, he lowered his expectations from what he can get out of his money, and he has to get that thing in order to stay in business. So he's willing to sell off at a very cheap rate many things. Okay, good. So we all take advantage of that, right? But the thing is that over here, what we're doing is, besides taking advantage of the person's need, he needs my money, and the thing there, I have nothing to do with the money. That's the point. If I have extra money, what am I going to do with it? I can't eat it. I can't use it. The only thing I use is to buy other things that I enjoy, right? Baruch Hashem, I have everything I need. Or I don't need, or I'm not going to buy anything more. So the only thing I can do with the money is put it in the hole in the ground, or put it in the bank in a savings account. That's the only thing I can do with it, right? And if the bank goes broke, I'm going to afraid of it, so I'll put it in the hole in the ground. So therefore, the money is a big tircha to me. Having money at that time is not a maise. I don't think it's a yichus to have money at that time. Why? Because I just have to protect it. I have to have armed guards to stay around and make sure nobody steals it. What kind of business is that, right? So I'm giving it to you. So now I don't have that money anymore. I don't have to worry about it. And maybe I'm making money on it, right? Why am I making money? Because you happen to need my money more than I needed the other thing, and therefore you will depend. And that you're not allowed to do. That's called also gezel. The gezel of where I'm actually taking something I don't want to give you, that's gezel, that's push it. Now, with Sudan and Stapekis and something like that, you don't even have to learn out from. That's straight gezel. That there's nothing. But this, because since I want it, I would rather pay you the money for it. There's an issa gezel on it. Anything there that we could learn out from gezel. That fact that I'm taking stuff from you that you don't want to give, that you're giving me because I'm taking advantage of your need, that's a midah law. We may have some other cases like that in the set that we'll see in a minute. I don't remember what it is, so maybe we'll pass it. The second case of the third case of which we stopped. I don't know why I stopped in the middle. You're right. And of well, really there were two in over there. And one is Es Nazena and Mechir Kelev. So in other words, one happens to do with actual doing an aveda, and one having a dangerous thing. And this thing there was obviously a point that you can't buy God. That's the main lesson over there. You have a new one of Mazik Ushase, which is also a thing. Anyone has that what is all Kiseva Lefnei Hashem Melisachti Soretz. This was a terrible thing. The Shiv explained it to me years ago as the way Eishes Ish is also how a person is supposed to look at an Eishes Ish. Let's say this is a thing which comes up in life, especially in our community, where it's possible that we're the former Yidden pretty much know each other and have shaykhs with each other. You Jewish geography, you'll find that you know everybody or related to everybody, whatever it is there. And a guy in his years before he got married went out with 10 girls. Obviously he only married one. The other married 9. What if he knows them and he has contact with them and stuff like that? So there's times that you may think, maybe I made the wrong choice. Maybe I should have married this one. Maybe I should have married that one, whatever it is there. And it becomes dangerous. And obviously you're not allowed to have such thoughts. But we did go out. And we went out with the express purpose of seeing if we can be married. So in other words, we're talking about such a yonim that it's not a foreign thought for me. So how do you protect against it? So the Ibn Ezra says, how do you protect yourself? Is that you have to imagine Eishes Ish is the wife of the Caliph. And if you're just thinking about the wife of the Caliph, you get your head chopped off. So you know it's not for me anymore. It's out of my league. I can't get it anymore. So it's finished. Nothing to think about. Single girl, okay. But a married woman, I can't think about. Now, how do you forget about it? Because once she got married to someone else, I have no shaykhs there anymore. She's married. So now we go into a person who has married his own wife, he gives a divorce, and it tells you that even she gets married to a second guy after that. That's what it is. And that guy divorces her or dies. I can't marry her back. That's the Kol Teva. Because if I'm able to marry her back, then I don't forget about her. Because I can tell you, there was, I think, even a book written about this. The world schmutz that they put out there is where a guy would pay a poor man, I'll give you $1 million, divorce your wife, I'll marry her for a week, and then I'll divorce her. Meanwhile, I'll give you $1 million for that. That's out beheter. No isurim were done, right? She's not an Eishes Ish at that time, right? But I don't forget about her. In other words, if I can do that, then I'll never forget about her. She got married to someone else, but big deal. I can ask him to divorce her for now, and I'll take her back. So I never forget thinking about her. And that's the point. I want you to forget thinking about her. Once she got married, she's gone. She's finished. She's not also if she got divorced to someone else, but I'm saying, but if you start off as mine, we made that Isa of Mazik Ushase, that you should be able to forget about her. It's not mine anymore. I divorced her. She got married again. It's not mine anymore. I can't have no shaykhs to that person anymore. I can't have, and that maybe I'll forget. I won't think about them. The other way you may. So therefore, again, are not allowed to bring up that type of a thing. The last one, I might as well bring that up already now, is right at the end of the Sefer, where you're not allowed to have false weights in the house. And there the yissel is not to use them. The yissel is not to have them in the house. Let's say I want to make a museum. I mean, I remember going to Museum of Natural History years ago, and they would have teak, wood, and balls of wood, one next to the other, the same size, the same thing, looked like wood, and you'd pick up the teak was like that, and the balls was you know, where's the thing? In other words, how could you cheat? You think, you know, cheating people is very hard. I mean, you'd be a false weights and this and that. It's a ma'aseh b'chol yom. It's not even what do you call it? I'll show you what I mean. And some from the people try to avoid it. Not, it's very dangerous. As a guy that's in the retail business, he's got to be very nizah in his honesty. What the ma'aseh? I got my take-home food business, right? So usually you got a pound of coleslaw. Right? What do you put in? I put in a pound plastic container, and I put it on the scale, a pound, but child of chopped liver. Okay. Am I counting the plastic container in the pound? Oh, I can't do that. No, you can't do that because that's a container. That's not chopped liver. I'm not paying you that kind of price for the container. Okay. So what do? I'll move back a container, an empty container where is worth 0.10 or something like that. So that would be good. We move it back, right? So that everything's in. But some people, I remember there was a store like that, and that little guy, I take off 20 cents from the thing. I said, but for 20 cents, taking off chopped liver is one thing. Taking off coleslaw is another thing. I mean, it's two different prices. You can think over there. You can't take off 20 cents. You'll have to take off proportionately, and then you're going to go nuts. You're not going to remember how much you have to take off each thing and whatever it is there. And then I remember Sam told me, this years ago, there was a deli on the east side, told me he had when they slice deli, they put it into wax paper, right? So they put it in wax paper. So the guy was trying to tell him that his wax paper is heavier than the competitor's wax paper, and he should pay it, and he should buy it, because at the cost of at the end of a day's work, he will have probably saved himself, let's say, a pound of pastrami, which was, let's say, $7, $8 at that time, whatever it is there. $7, $8 is a very significant sum. For quarter was, what do you call it? And I'm talking about even before then, I'm talking about the 50s. So you're talking about even a lot more. So it was a significant amount that you're doing at the end of a week, end of a month, what do you call it? It's a big difference in money. So that little bit of difference was a selling point for the store, for the guy. He didn't buy it for Hashem. But the idea is, he was telling me that we must have been talking about the Indian. He said, yeah, you know, that's a selling point. What they are is this, my wax paper weighs more than the other wax paper. That is false scales. It's not that, I didn't falsify the scale. The scale's the same pound, the same thing, but it's not, I'm not selling you what's on the scale. I'm selling you paper for something that you don't even eat. For the pound, for the price of food. So there the issue is, not I did anything wrong. I didn't do anything wrong. I haven't got anything in. The availability to have sometimes this Yetzer Hara come into my head, that itself is also. So a person cannot put himself into a situation, not where I'm teasing the Yetzer Hara, I'm not doing anything. Over there, like Silbash, I'm actually doing something. But here I'm not doing anything. And Afal Pikein, the Torah says it's also, because they don't want you to have anything that's possible that the Yetzer Hara may catch you at some time, that now you need it, and whatever it is there. Of course, you'll say to them, come out, everything in the world is that way, and you're right, that is that way. And if you're going to be a person who is going to do only this to protecting yourself, you never can do a chesed sometimes. So I'll give you a moshel. A guy wants to give you a mashkin, right? He needs somebody to hold on to his money. He's got to go someplace. And whatever it is there, he needs a chesed, right? So he asked me to do it. I put myself in a very dangerous position. And I believe this was like the positions of, let's say, Madoff for these people. Not that they were inherently bad originally. I don't think anybody goes into a Ponzi scheme in order to go to jail. You got to be crazy. It's not worth it. You know, you have to get caught somewhere along the way. So it's just a question of how long am I going to live free. And that fear itself should not let you enjoy your food. So what's the point of my doing it then? I was an honest businessman. And my whole empire became threatened because I have to make a payment somewhere on the bottom, which everything is built on. And if I don't pay that off, everything's going to fall. So therefore, I need money. And all of a sudden, but I have the money. I have it as a mashkin. Of course, the guy is going to want to lend it to me, right? Why would his security also depends on my success. So so I guess of course he wants me to use his money. If that's the case, why don't you ask him? So obviously you're scared to ask him because he may not say yes, right? But I'll return it tomorrow or next week. I mean, as soon as the prices is over. My deposits are coming in, my rents are coming in, whatever it is. I have no money tomorrow. So I'll pay it back. And then unfortunately I take it and the new money tomorrow doesn't come in. And all of a sudden I still owe this money. And the guy's coming back. And now I got to pay up this money. Got to figure out a way of getting money. So all of a sudden now I'm stuck to make a Ponzi scheme because I have no other rates. The only way I can stay out of jail now is by doing these things. So the other question is, how long will I last staying out of jail? A week, a month, a year? But it'll last a while. So maybe I might as well write it for what it's worth. But I'm going to go to jail anyway, so it doesn't make a difference. I was a cook. I did it. So there is these inyanim of worrying about things. I don't know if there's an inyan of talking about Shana Rishayna. But it says for Adin, when a guy gets married, for 1 year, he can't go, he's put from going to the army, or any type of things that are going to make him indebted, something like that. He should be there. And it's his obligation to make his wife happy. And the reason for this, I think, is the reason why you have to make your wife happy. Why do I have to make my wife happy? Maybe my wife should make me happy. The idea is a man doesn't change too much. I'll give you a moshel regarding bar mitzvah. Why does a bar mitzvah, we make a big party for the boy, we don't make a big party for the girl? If we're talking about that the boy is now become bar chiyuveh, and all of a sudden, we have to give you confidence that you can live as a bar chiyuveh. So the girl should also need that chizuk. So why don't we make a big party for the girl? So I said the difference is a girl's life doesn't change. She does her chesed. She does a thing. They go visiting to the old age home, the nursing home, from the time they're 8 years old, and they do this until through seminary. They do chesed with everybody, wonderful things. They learn how to daven, they learn how to do. They're fantastic. Their life has not changed at all from the time they're little girls until they're married ladies. The man, by becoming bar mitzvah, all of a sudden he's got new mitzvahs he got to do. He has to learn. He can't battle anymore. He has to go get the minyan. He has to do his life changes. He's a new person. All of a sudden, the thing this is a big different obligation. You got to tell them we got confidence in you. You're going to be able to do it. So we make them a big party to make this thing over there. Where's the demon to, let's say, the manager of a baseball club, right? The baseball team. So he's the first guy fired whenever there's things that are no good. Why? Because you weren't a good manager, right? It's my fault, really. The guy can't hit, it's my fault. Yeah, you brought the guy. You changed him, you did this, you put him in this position, that position, whatever you did, you misuse them, you're out of here, right? So if a guy gets an offer of a thing, it's a nice salary, you got a good salary, but you're the first one going to be fired. You're the CEO of a company. You're the first, if anything goes wrong, you're the first one fired. On the other hand, we make it still a big party that you got the big raise and you got the big appointment. Why? Because we have confidence in you. It's not going to happen by you. Therefore, we do it. So we're giving the guy a boost by giving him this party. We have confidence you're going to really do it. You're going to be able to do this thing. And they're doing it. That's what we do it. And the girl doesn't need that much. So whatever it is there. So the same thing, a man pretty much continues with his derech hachayim that he did before. He works. He may have new emotions, but I doubt it. The type of to inject the azera that probably exists anyway. Exists as a kid. Exists as this. On the other hand, the woman, her whole life changes when she gets married. She now all of a sudden, even though she was home and she was helping the mother and everything else, she was not responsible for anything. The mother was responsible for everything. She just helped along. She learned to do things. She's very geschickt and everything, wonderful, but no achayis on her. Now all of a sudden you're the mother of a family. You gotta take care of everything. Also, new emotions have entered. Just like the bar mitzvah bracha, we have new emotions entered. The new bas mitzvah girl, new emotions entered. That's the hardest years are the teen years. The Rebbeinu Shem did for whatever reason. Maybe that's the reason he gives you till 20. Is that because these are the hardest years. I give you the hardest emotions at that time, and the hardest with the averas that are done. Of Elamaisa, we understand that. That's the point. So it's a chiyuv on the husband to make sure that the wife is able to pass through it. It's an enjoyable time for her. She's happy. She likes going around as missus. Whatever it is, it's wonderful. The running home to make sure that my husband has supper, I don't know if that was part of the Gedin of that maybe part of Shalom Bayis. You may have to, but it has nothing to do with Shana Rishayna. She's making his life happy. That doesn't say anywhere in the Torah that she has to make his life happy. He says he has to do it. And my wife told me that we had that. She didn't have a Shana Rishayna in that sense. Said, but we had the calmest Shana Rishayna we ever had that we had in life. Why? Because I would go to sleep before she came home from school, and I would leave to go to davening before she woke up. So we didn't see each other until Shabbos. So Baruch Hashem, so we never had a fight in a week. So we had Shalom Bayis. It was fantastic. Exactly what the point of Shalom Shayna is, that's a good question. But it was a good Shalom Shayna. Shoma Benegad Tzoraz. And he says it's a very funny thing. Lishma Moed Lasis Kuchal Shiur that you have to do whatever they tell you. Have these Tishbu Lasis. And Zocher, why? Because remember what God did to Miriam. What did God do to Miriam? Was she tummy? Not so pushy, she was tummy. Because the only ones that could be mitama or the people who couldn't be mitama was her brother and her nephews. So they couldn't even be mitama. So she's not tummy. Secondly, the pashta she saw, she became white from head to toe. If you're white from head to toe, you're tahor. If the whole body turns white, and then you're tahor. So she wasn't tummy even. But one thing was saying, everybody was visible to her that something happened to her. And therefore, if this thing happens, because Lashon Hara, the whole world can see it. So the Rebbeinu Shalom is telling everyone, the Torah is telling everyone, look, you're a guy, you had a fight with somebody, you maybe got out of hand, you said things you shouldn't have said, whatever it is there. You have certain midas, you have to work on it, you haven't worked on them. Good. But I'm not a bad guy, right? But I sent you the tzaras to know that you're in the wrong. Oh, it's because you thought you were in the right. So now I'm telling you, you're in the wrong. You say you got the tzaras, the other guy doesn't have the tzaras, so therefore you're in the wrong. So you go over and apologize to him and make for shalom and stuff like that. Now, I don't want to apologize to that guy. I don't like him. I think he's wrong. He's terrible, whatever it is there. What about the tzaras? I'm going to wear a long sleeve shirt. And nobody will see the tzaras anymore. Right? So then what do you think? You think I can't make the world know that you have tzaras? That Chumash Shiur is a no tzaras. Right now it's a little thing, go apologize. It's an easy thing to do. But if you want to start up and say, I'm going to hide it, so I'm telling you now, Zochar Shos Hashem Miriam, that says by derech that I made it top to bottom, that everybody knew what happened. So therefore, Memela, don't do it. I think I skipped Layavi Amaynim Layavi. We'll leave that one. If we make time yet at the end, we'll see. Okay. So Rashi brings down the Medrash here that says what was Geirem that Loit should be perished from Avraham was Riv. Well, it says it's Riv. What was the Riv? The Rei Avraham saw the Rei put the sheep of Lot on people's private property. So they called them crooks, right? So they gave them Musa, right? They weren't Mikabel, and there became a big fight. And the fight then extended to Avraham and to Lot themselves. In other words, you guys, you got to teach you guys not to give them Musa too much. Whatever you think came out there. Who's the Tain on the way, Lot or the way Avraham? To me, it turned out that it seems that the Tain is on the way Avraham. In other words, what should they have done? In other words, instead of calling them a crook, what they should have done is said to them, wait, what are you guys doing? He said, well, the land belongs to Avram. The only Irish of Avram is Lot. So it's our land. So what's the difference? So we don't own it yet, but technically it's ours. It's going to be ours. So it's ours. It's a good point, the way Avram should have said. So how come Avram told us to go to the Midbar and told us not to do that? Oh, that's a good question, Taki. I mean, Lot only is coming in because of Avram. So if Avram says he should go there, so Lot should for sure. I don't know. So maybe we should wait till we get home and we'll ask. We'll ask Avram and say, how come? Whatever is this? And then it would have been clarified that he didn't take the land and whatever it is there, and it would be Yosser, and therefore everybody would have been saved. But instead you called me a Ganef. You called me a Ganef. I defended myself. Oh no, I'm not, and I'm going to show you I'm not a Ganef. I'm going to put my sheep there. They're going to make there, and I'm going to rip it out, and I'll even give them to eat with my hands. And everything did, because it's my land. It's our land. We don't have to worry about this stuff like that. So if the Malbim goes through, when you give a soya to a guy, you can't give, you know that he's a cow in certain things, or whatever it is there, or that he tries to say that this is mutter, you know that there's not only mutter with the case of nonus, but like the guy's got to shear on it, and it's not like the paskin the best thing yet, but it's something that it's something that he didn't think of, that it's not push it that he can't see what's wrong with it and what's right. It's only what I do is make a match. I struck a match. It's a malach already. What do you chayiv misa for that? What do you tell me about myself? Well, it can't be. So therefore, you can't give him hasroya where you're going to be where he's going to do it again to show you I don't care what you tell me. I have to make sure that, don't do it. You're not sure? Let's go learn the subject. Let's check it again. Let's somehow. But we got him not to say it. You do that again. You're going to be able to misa. We're going to be the this again. See and stuff like that. And then he's bedafkin going to do it. So I'm forcing to do it. That's something that's say. You learn out from this bus. Okay, now the din of Zochas Ashos Hashem L'cha Amalek. This is basically different. I think I remember around Purim time that in Parshas Zochah that the pshat is that I learned from my Rebbe at the time of Meir Bloch tells that we're not talking about killing Amalek. We're talking about wiping out the ideas of Amalek. They always keep popping up every so often. So we got to pop up the ideas of Amalek. We're popping up. That's what he's telling you. And so what do? And there's a sheet that holds that if the guy missed Parshas Zochah and he lanes Parshas of Purim is Yetzer. I kind of did not Yetzer because he reached the Zochah Sheros Hashem Zochah about the Ben Shum Timcha Zech Amalek, which is in Bishalach. So there's two different things. Over there in Bishalach it says the Ben Shalin was going to destroy Amalek, not me. It's the Russian. Saves these Piskom by Sefer, write this in the book. Yeshua, I will destroy Amalek. How will I destroy Amalek? I'll tell Klal Yisrael to destroy it. I'll make a magefa. That's my business how I'll destroy Amalek. But I'm the one that's going to tell Shemai. And he built him his back. Shem Nisi, Vayemek Yoda Kesko, Milchama LaShem Ba'Amalek Medora. Jews are not involved at all. That's the parasha in Bishalach. And that has nothing to do with Purim. That has nothing to do with Purim. We're not out to kill people. We're not out to think. It's not negated to us. Over here, Zochah She'osa L'cha Amalek. What did Amalek do to you? Amalek put kfir into the world. Put all these things into the world. So if you've had this kfir, now there's kfir in the world. So therefore you became a kaifa because of Amalek. That's what you have to remember. You have to wipe out this kfira from you. Right? And therefore, when you don't have any more physical battles anymore, at that time you have no more physical battles. That means Amalek is dead too. I don't have any physical battles with Amalek. Abel, I still have what they did to me. I have a battle with my neshama. Then wipe out Amalek. You have a chance now to concentrate on the midas of Amalek and what they are. That's the kfira. And that kfira really affects us all the time. We all claim to be ma'minim. And the truth is, we're not ma'minim. What are we going to tell you? We're ma'minim until we a little more of a kvetch, and all of a sudden, all that emunah went out the window. And stuff like that. And what I said, I wanted it to go over again. Oh, Malayani Yabi. Okay. The Kasha, we all know the Rosh Hashiva's story of a nice lake. In Parshas Vayera. I don't know where it's brought down, but it's definitely brought down in one of the Egilson in the stories, and I think it's even brought down by the Rosh Hashiva or something. I don't remember where. That the guy in his town, what do you call it, was being Mavasetra, And he came to the Parsha about the Slate, and they live with their father. And he started to bother him why Mashiach belongs to them. And it bothered him. He said all of a sudden he felt very tired, and he fell asleep. And when he fell asleep, two women came to him in a dream, and they said to him, "We heard you asked why Mashiach belongs to us. We'll tell you. We denied the Immaculate Conception. We said that even though there's a tzaddik and two daughters that are tzidkoniuses, because don't forget, we lived in Sodom, and the Torah says, Eidis on us, v'ish lo yidom. That means we kept our moral values while we lived in Sodom. And there's these loitos, the tzaddik yisrael olam, and we're the only ones on a mountain. Then if they come down pregnant, it's me'ov, it's from the father. And so in that case, if that's the lesson that they taught us, and that's why Mashiach belongs to them, so then the mother of Moav is really more deserving of schar than the mother of Ammon. Because Moav is straight out, my father came from my father. Ammon is my Ami. What's Ami? Who knows what Ami means? My cousin, my Swift's cousin. Who knows what it means? Okay, so therefore, the Shulchan should be Seitsai. And yet we know that it says, in the Gemara it says, the Ammon is you're not allowed to hurt him at all. What's the lotion? One's Muhammad and one huh? It's about the lotion, huh? It says on a Moav, only wars also. But I can rob you, I can have raiding parties, I can do all those things. And on Ammon it says, Stam, you're not allowed to give him any tzolos at all. So, and then the Gemara says, why? Because Ammon, he was more derech eretz stick, and therefore we got to go. So they're treating the less tzidkonius with giving more schar than the more the tzidkonius. Seitsai no. The Reuven Feinstein Shlit did this on purpose under that. Why? He had why? Because I want them to sell you food. Because it says in Parshas they did sell us food. What is that? That's the reason. So if you take a look in Parshas Devarim itself, it says in the Farish they did do it. It says we're asking Sicha to let us go through, and we're asking them buy food from him, right? And so and he says, what's the Moshe like to who? Kasha osli b'nei Esav hayeshvim b'seir, v'hamoyavim hayeshvim bo. So the Moavim did sell us food. So then why are you killing them? Or why are you starting up with them? With everything there. So obviously, I wanted Taki should be saved. Why you saved Taki? Not for a good reason. A good reason because we're going to rob you. And because we're going to rob you, you might as well sell it to us instead of being robbed. So therefore, for your own benefit, you're selling it to us, not for you, for our benefit. But Lamai said you didn't show that you're not a Makir Toiv. That's the point. We don't even expect Bnei Yisrael to be Makir Toiv. And it bothers me terribly, this lotion that I've heard, B'Shem Bali Musa, I'm talking about Grace Bali Musa, that said, what did I do to him? What good did I do to him that he hates me so much? That means you're telling me that Bnei Yisrael don't have any Hakol Satev. Chas v'chalil to say that. Or Hakol Satev is such a hard thing to have that ain't a chinami. A person doesn't want to owe anybody in Hakol Satev, so I'm going to hate you. So let's get in tongue. So therefore, what do you want from the goyim then? The thing did. You're right, but if you show it, that's the avla. If you're able to hide it, you can get away with it. We don't know that you're not Makir Toiv. But as long as you find out you're not Makir Toiv, in the thing there, then you're dangerous. Then we don't want you. That means you're not even being polite, as you want to call it. No, we're trying to cover it up. That's the avla. So therefore, it says two things. One is for what? Hadash le'kidmo eschem barach malayim, right? And that, so therefore, Moav would be free because of that. Vashesocha lecha is Bilam memor, and because you hired Bilam. And what was wrong with hiring Bilam? We said Bilam technically was a self-defense of the thing there. The idea was Bilam said, I don't work unless I get genocide. To get them away, that they'll chase you away from the land. No way, they'll go away someplace else. That you're allowed to do. You're allowed to defend yourself. You're not mechuyev to. He says, I could have made Yisrael. You had a terrible life. So therefore, you're allowed to do that. Abel, to do genocide, that you're not allowed to do. That you should have rejected him, and you didn't. You hired him anyway. That's the time on you. So therefore, that there had to be two averas. One is for Ammon and one is for doing this thing. Have a good Shabbos, everybody. Have a good Yom. Everyone should be having simchas and everybody else. And keep wishing to you.